Hey, John. Long time no see. How have you been?
Emily. It's been ages. I've been doing well, just busy with work. How about you?
Same here. Work has been keeping me on my toes, but I can't complain. Do you remember our high school days?
Oh, absolutely. Those were some of the best times. Do you remember Mr. Thompson's history class? He always made history sound like the most exciting adventure.
Yes, Mr. Thompson. I remember his dramatic reenactments of historical events. He was such a character. Have you kept in touch with anyone from high school?
A few people here and there, mostly through social media. It's interesting to see where everyone ended up. What about you?
Same here. Social media has been great for keeping in touch. I saw that Sarah got married last year. She looked so happy.
I saw that too. It's crazy how time flies. Speaking of time, have you been traveling lately?
Actually, yes. I went to Italy last summer. It was such a beautiful country with amazing food. Have you been anywhere interesting?
Italy sounds amazing. I've always wanted to go. I went to Japan last year. It was incredible, the culture, the food, the people. I'd go back in a heartbeat.
Japan is definitely on my list. What was your favorite part of the trip?
It's hard to pick just one thing, but I'd say visiting the ancient temples in Kyoto was a highlight. There's so much history and beauty in those places. How about you in Italy?
For me, it was visiting the Amalfi Coast. The views were breathtaking, and the water was so clear and blue. Plus, the seafood was out of this world.
That sounds fantastic. I've always loved coastal towns. There's something so relaxing about being near the sea.
Absolutely. It's like you can just breathe easier and forget all your worries. Speaking of relaxing, have you picked up any new hobbies?
I've actually started learning to play the guitar. It's been a great way to unwind after a long day. What about you?
That's awesome. I've been dabbling in painting. It's something I've always wanted to do but never had the time for until recently.
Painting sounds so therapeutic. Do you have a favorite subject or style?
I love painting landscapes. There's something calming about capturing nature on canvas. What about you and your guitar? What kind of music do you play?
I'm still learning, but I've been enjoying playing some classic rock and a bit of blues. It's challenging but really rewarding when you finally get a song right.
That sounds so cool. Maybe one day you can play for me. I'd love to hear it.
I'd be happy to. Though I'm still a beginner, so don't expect too much just yet. By the way, have you seen any good movies or TV shows lately?
I recently watched a show called The Queen's Gambit. It's about a young chess prodigy. The story and the acting were phenomenal. Have you seen it?
I've heard great things about it but haven't watched it yet. I'll have to add it to my list. I've been watching Stranger Things. It's a bit different, more on the supernatural side, but very engaging.
I've seen Stranger Things. It's such a great show. The characters are so well developed, and the storyline keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Exactly. It's one of those shows that you can't stop watching. I love the 80s nostalgia it brings.
Totally. It reminds me of all the classic movies from that era. Speaking of which, have you watched any old favorites recently?
I actually rewatched Back to the Future last weekend. It never gets old. What about you?
I watched The Breakfast Club again. It's such a classic. The characters and their stories are still so relatable.
The Breakfast Club is a great one. It's amazing how some movies just stand the test of time. Do you have any other favorites from that era?
Definitely. I love Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Pretty in Pink. Those movies always bring back good memories.
Same here. They're timeless. It's like they capture the essence of being a teenager in a way that's still relevant today.
Absolutely. And speaking of relevance, have you been reading any good books lately?
Yes, I've been reading Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, by Yuval Noah Harari. It's fascinating how it explores the history of our species from a unique perspective. Have you read it?
I have. It's such an eye-opening book. Harari has a way of making complex topics accessible and engaging. I recently read Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. It's a beautiful story with stunning descriptions of nature.
I've heard of that one. It's on my reading list. I love books that can transport you to another place and time. What did you like most about it?
The way Owens describes the marshlands is almost poetic. It's like you can feel the humidity and hear the wildlife. Plus, the story is gripping and emotional.
That sounds wonderful. I'll definitely have to check it out. Do you read a lot of fiction?
I do, but I also enjoy nonfiction, especially biographies and memoirs. There's something inspiring about learning from other people's lives and experiences.
I feel the same way. Biographies can be so motivating. I recently read Steve Jobs, by Walter Isaacson. It was fascinating to learn about his life and the impact he had on technology.
That's a great book. Jobs was such a visionary, but also a very complex person. It's interesting to see the different sides of him.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even the most successful people have their struggles and imperfections. Speaking of technology, have you been keeping up with any new gadgets or trends?
I try to stay updated, but it's hard to keep up with everything. I recently got a smartwatch, though. It's been really useful for tracking my fitness and staying connected.
Smartwatches are great. I've been thinking about getting one myself. It's amazing how technology is becoming such an integral part of our lives.
Definitely. It's convenient but also a bit overwhelming at times. I try to find a balance between using technology and taking breaks from it.
That's important. It's easy to get caught up in screens all day. I've been trying to spend more time outdoors and disconnect from my devices.
That's a great idea. I've been doing the same. Going for walks in the park or hiking on weekends helps me recharge.
Nature has a way of grounding us. It's refreshing to just be in the moment without any distractions. Do you have any favorite spots for hiking?
There's a beautiful trail near my house that leads to a waterfall. It's my go-to place when I need to clear my head. What about you?
I love hiking in the mountains. There's a trail about an hour from the city that offers stunning views. It's a bit of a drive, but totally worth it.
That sounds amazing. There's something about being in the mountains that's so peaceful. Have you ever tried camping?
I have. I went camping with some friends last summer. It was a great experience, though I'm not the best at setting up tents. How about you?
I've been camping a few times. It's always an adventure. The last time I went, we saw the most incredible starry sky. It was like being in a planetarium.
That sounds magical. There's nothing quite like a night under the stars. It makes you realize how vast the universe is.
Absolutely. It puts things in perspective. Do you ever think about how small we are in the grand scheme of things?
All the time. It's both humbling and awe-inspiring. It makes me appreciate the little moments in life even more.
I feel the same way. Life is full of small, beautiful moments that we often overlook. Like this conversation, we haven't caught up in so long, and it's making me realize how much I've missed talking to you.
I've missed talking to you too, Emily. It's so nice to reconnect and share what we've been up to. We should do this more often.
Definitely. Let's make a pact to stay in touch and not let so much time pass between our conversations.
Agreed. Life gets busy, But it's important to make time for friends. By the way, have you tried any new recipes lately? I've been experimenting in the kitchen.
Yes. I recently tried making homemade pasta. It was a lot of work, but so worth it. What about you?
That sounds delicious. I've been trying my hand at